Tuesday, February 20th, 2024. It is 10:15 a.m. when I got on the express bus from Uptown in the Bronx to go into Manhattan. The express bus, you pay your $7. That way you don't have to do the stressful of driving into Manhattan and dealing with all of this. And yesterday kicked off the Truckers for Trump, where truckers will not be making any deliveries into New York City or New York State for the next 7 days. Yesterday was a holiday, so of course traffic was light. This is my trip into Manhattan when I have to go into the city to get doctor's appointments, allergies, etc. This is the highway, Cross Bronx Expressway, which takes us Bruckner Boulevard, that takes us into FDR. 125th Street is usually when we get off. And then we hit Fifth Avenue, which nobody wants to be on Fifth Avenue because Fifth Avenue has went from 4 lanes into 1 lane. And that's because Con Edison is usually doing some work on one side and somebody else is digging up the other side. Then to top it off, we have people, producers, production companies making movies. So you have some streets that are blocked off because it's back to filming movies and television shows back in New York City. But this is the whole ride, and I will put music on, and that's what I usually do. I put my iPod, my headphones on, and I just go for the ride. It's usually 40 minutes without traffic. With traffic, about 50 minutes, because 7 to 10 is usually our gridlock on the way home. If you're not on these express bus or on the expressway, the highway, no later than 5, it's going to take you an hour and a half to 2 hours just to get back uptown to Westchester County, New Rochelle, Yonkers, Cross County, uptown the Bronx. It is what it is. But there was a lot of trucks on my way into the city this morning and a lot of trucks on my way back home. filming something.
Okay, trucking report. So I saw that there was this this idea of, hey, in New York we're going to do a trucking strike and truckers aren't going to go into New York. Here's the deal. There are so many company drivers now that these kinds of strikes probably aren't going to do the dent you think they're going to do. I mean, let's be real here. The industry has been trying to get rid of owner-operators for decades. Really, since the 60s, they've been trying to get rid of owner-operators. And really, since the 90s, they've been really pushing hard to get rid of owner-operators, because owner-operators, they will turn stuff down. They will be honest with brokers. They can see through all the bullshit. They see through these loads that pay a bunch of money, and then the broker takes like 60% of it, does nothing, and dumps all the responsibility onto a driver and makes it all his problem, in addition to, he has to pay all the maintenance and upkeep and insurance and on, okay? And this is that middleman economy, that we've all seen. And I think that for those of you, again, remember, this is a trucking report, so if you're not interested in trucking or anything, you can just move on. I'm talking predominantly to truckers. But for owner-operators that are out there not going to New York, most of us already hate New York anyway. We already hate going to the Northeast in general because the Northeast sucks, right? There's no place to park. Everything there costs a goddamn fortune, and everything's a toll road. So, a lot of us don't go there anyhow. So I don't think it's going to be quite have the impact that people think it is going to have. It'd be great if it did, but like I said, for those of us who've been doing this for a while, who've been doing this for many, many years, we all know how this game is played. More and more guys are being turned into company drivers. They're not being turned into owner-operators, or they're being turned into these like quasi lease driver kind of guys, where the companies are effectively taking advantage of these guys with ridiculous interest rates, ridiculous lease rate factors. Putting them on these loads, keeping them basically in poverty the entire time, so that they never leave the company. They always perpetually owe. It's that I owe my soul to the company store kind of thing. It's really kind of that. It's just on a grand scale in the trucking world, which is kind of what's going on in the world in general. Actually, if you look at the way things are going, there's this idea of just getting people more and more closed off from the rest of the world, and that is what's happening. And less and less and less freedom. We see it with for example, these 15-minute cities. That's probably coming for a lot of folks, and so you're completely reliant on outside forces. You're not able to be self-reliant on inside your 15-minute city. And of course, if you're in your 15-minute city and they decide they want to get rid of all of you, well, they have only but to Gaza you, apparently, because you're a captive audience. Where are you going to go? So, if you look at an aerial shot of a prison and you look at an aerial shot of a so-called 15-minute city, they look almost identical. It's the same basic business model. So yeah, I don't think that it's going to be much of a big hit on the Northeast. I'd like to see it. That'd be pretty cool. I'd love to see New York go full cannibal, after about 10 days. It'd be pretty cool, but it's not going to happen. There's just too many. There's too many people that are. And you guys look. You guys that are in trucking, you know what's going on here, right? You know that most owner-operators won't roll on ice. We don't roll on ice. We don't do. There's certain things we just dude, no, hey, wait for DOT. Fuck, they can fix the roads, and then we'll take off, right? We all kind of do that. That's not what happens to a lot of these guys that are in the trucks that are being shoved in there, that are here, they're undocumented, and they get a phone call of like, hey man, you need to get that load there right now or we're deporting you. And so then they go out on the road and they cause a 60 truck pile up, and because like that's, the broker doesn't care. I mean, what does he give a shit? It's not his life. It's not his money. What does he care? I mean, that's somebody else's problem. So as with all things, it's just the middleman economy, that needs to come to it, like desperately needs to come to an end, big time. I rail against it all the time because I see this kind of thing and I see where it's going. But that's the trucking report. It's pretty brief. See you next time.